We have a number of rare mussels on the Chippewa watershed, and that's a fantastic thing. I wish they weren't rare, but it's nice to know that they exist, and they exist here, and that the water quality and habitat is such that this is a good place for them to be.
The Minnesota River watershed as a whole has, the mussel fauna in the river has declined, but there are some tributaries that still have some really rare and notable species that occur, and two of those are the Chippewa and the Pomme de Terre rivers. And the assemblages in those rivers, the mussel assemblages in those rivers, is close to the historic the species that live there historically, by and large, still live there. And some of the rarer species that I'll say that some listed species in Minnesota, some species that are sensitive still occur in those rivers.
The Chippewa River has more. The mussels are more abundant virtually everywhere we've looked there, and the Pomme de Terre, especially the Chippewa, I think. And there are species that we still find in the Chippewa River that are absent all over the rest of the Minnesota Minnesota River drainage system. Like I don't know if you want the Latin name or not, but I'm thinking of the spike mussel, Elliptio delatata. The only known population that still exists in the Minnesota River Basin is in the Chippewa River. And in the Pomme de Terre, it's the elktoe mussel. And they're at Three Ridge are much more abundant in the Pomme de Terre River than they are anywhere else in the Minnesota watershed anymore. And they're also one of the most abundant species in Mississippi. It's kind of interesting that those rivers seems to have retained a few species that have been lost elsewhere. That's really important because that could be the seed source then for a recolonizing of the rest of the river system at some point, someday, if things get better.
We had Mike and Bernard from the DNR come out and talk to us about mussels, and he led a mussel survey with it was like a mussel hike day where we walked a section of the Chippewa River and just looked at the different mussels that were there, and the two of them talked about those mussels and showed us a little bit about their life histories and life cycles, and it was fascinating. And at that time they were really impressed with the site that we had chosen for the mussel hike, just by the diversity of species and the number of species they were finding in the river bottoms. They knew that the Chippewa River was a good production river for mussels, but I guess they hadn't realized how good it was, and so they decided to come out and sample it officially as a long-term sampling site that year, and look at what varieties of mussels were present or absent there. And I guess it's really, I've learned a lot in the ensuing years about the mussels on the Chippewa River, and we're lucky that we have some species that they don't find anyplace else in the Minnesota River watershed. We're one of the few tributaries where you can find spike, I believe, and I'm not certain if black sandshell is another one that's hard to find. But there's several species here on the Chippewa watershed that they don't find anyplace else, and so it's really fun to be a part of that and be able to see what's happening and to find out that this area here is special.